So I wanted to make a second part to the video how the globe's curvature gets affected, because we used a basic principle, and this principle was formulated very basic. You can't do everything and be completely precise with it. It's just a basic tool so you can understand more how curvature is affected when you go up, that you see more of the sphere, and the tendency is that the more you see of the sphere, of course, the bigger the curvature gets. But of course you can, play with camera angles and so on, and then this principle may not work if you have, see barely the horizon and then you just rotate down, then you just see the sphere. Of course, then it doesn't work like that. And to be really precise in the formulation, we need to specify this principle more. Doesn't mean that it doesn't work. Does mean that if we want the basic principle to work more precisely, we need to formulate it more precisely, and that's what we will try to do in different cases. So, and now we try to formulate this basic principle so that it is more precise. Doesn't mean that it's 100% precise. Nothing in this world can be defined 100% precise, or at least proven. I mean, defined, you can define somewhat 100%, I think, but the tendency of our world is that you cannot really be 100% precise. There is always a little bit lower than 100%, but let's go on. So we have first we had, of course, the principle. I gave it to you in 2D, of course, and yeah, let's look at the principle in 2D space. So if we want to be more precise than the normal, then we need to say, okay, the more you see, the bigger the curvature gets. The more you see, of course, is in the more length you see, the more surface you see, and we need to specify like that the sphere parts are the whole horizon parts and not, cut out pieces, because if we just cut out a little piece, it may not work anymore. But we, of course, only see whole parts of a sphere, and that's why we need to cut with one straight cut through the sphere, and then we get our part. And the more we see, the bigger the part is, the bigger the curvature, of course. And yeah, if we needed a principle where we just cut out puzzles or something, just weird shapes, we need to formulate the principle a little bit different, of course. But let's go to the next. Now we got a very specific formulation for this principle. It's in 3D, and I mean, you could also have it in 2D theoretic. Nah, not really. It's just 3D. As far as I know, it's about changing the altitude, but the camera focal length stays the same. So we have the camera. That's the blue circle, and when the camera is very low, we got the wide angle of the visibility lines, and we don't see very much when we are low of the sphere. And the more we go up, the more we could see when we look at every part, every angle of the camera. We can see more and more the higher we go up, and the more we could see, the bigger the curvature gets, of course, because we see more of the sphere, the horizon gets further and further away, and so on. And that's why the curvature increases, and that's also a way to formulate in specific case of changing altitudes for this principle. So next is also, it's very, very basic. I mean, you have a camera in 3D space and you look at the horizon. You have the horizon in your view, in your frame, and then you just change the camera angle. And if you make the focal length smaller or the angle wider, you of course will see more, and then you will have increased curvature. It's just that the position and rotation of the camera, everything needs to stay the same, just the angle needs to change. That's very basic, and we did it last video. I didn't mention this principle, but you know, that's how you can also apply it. Now next, principle for 3D. And the more horizon you see, the bigger the curvature gets. Means, yeah, if this horizon line has more meters, is longer than this horizon line, and you see them in the same frame, of course, the curvature will be higher because you see more horizon of the same sphere, right? It's logical. And you know, you could try to cheat to make the frame there and just show a little part of a bigger curvature sphere picture, and then show the whole, and then you would see more of the smaller curvature and less of the bigger curvature, and it would just screw up the principle because you kind of cheated. And that's why it, as far as I know, only works if you have the edges ending on the right and left edge or corner of the image. They can't be down there. Up there, it wouldn't make sense to make them up there, but they shouldn't end down there. So that's how this formulation of the principle works. Now next, we have basically the same, but without the limitation of having it end on the sides, of the horizon having to end on the sides. We can also just make it end on the ground of the frame, and we just take the horizon density, means the meters per pixel. The more detailed the horizon is, the more we have the curvature, means you're further away from Earth. And of course, you will see more meters per pixel if the globe Earth is further away. And that's why the horizon density, we can take that to set it into relation with curvature of the globe Earth. The last principle formulation that I've made, of course, there are many other formulations, and you could maybe make infinite versions of this basic principle. But yeah, the last is the more maximum pixel density. You see, there is one pixel with the maximum pixel density, and the pixel density is, in this case, square meters per pixel. If you have one pixel, how many square meters do you see in this pixel? And the more that is, the higher the curvature when you look at the sphere horizon. Yeah, and that's the formulations I've done to further show you how you can, you can make new formulations for yourself of this principle, just to show you that if we need to be more precise, we need to define it more specifically. And if you want to be even more precise than what we've done and really go into really deep stuff, you need it for something, I don't know, or some calculation or something. I will not need, I think, for specific calculations or something. I just wanted to go over it so we can just to better understand how curvature on the globe Earth kind of works. That's why I did it. And I thought maybe it is necessary to further go into this principle because I was very basic in the first video, but yeah, that was it for these principles. So now let's look at the principle with the camera and its altitude and how much we could see and how that's affecting the curvature of the globe. We see that there is the camera. We have a very wide angle. We're very low. We don't see much of the sphere at all. And then we go a little bit up. We go a little bit more up and we see a little bit more already. And we have a little bit of curvature going on. Let's go there, a little bit further, and we see more and more of the sphere. And we go further and further, and we see more and more, and can draw the sight lines. And there, you see already very much, I mean, not that much, but already more and more of the sphere. And see more and more, and then see already can draw these lines. The part we could see becomes bigger and bigger, and we go there, and then we have already a little bit more, and so on and so on, and then curvature it's bigger and bigger, the more we could see of the sphere. There I think we have already like this kind of this part, I think, of the sphere already visible, and the more part, the bigger the part is we see of the sphere, the bigger is the curvature we see in the camera. That's yeah, the other principles we could see already in the showcase, showcase papers where I told them, because they're very similar with, partly horizon and partly detail density. The more dense a pixel of the horizon is, the more, the more you see, and the more you see, the bigger the curvature and so on. But, we may not be 100% precise, but we're very precise, I think, with our principles we established. And of course, you can always do it better if you get more time in it. Maybe there is a better way to formulate this principle. I don't know, maybe, and I don't really care, because right now I don't really need it that much. It was just to explore more how curvature is affected on the globe Earth, and yeah, to better understand how curvature is affected. And I think we did it very well, and I think we can go to another topic in the same branch. So yeah.